Hi, it's Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. It's time to go through and start talking about end of the year makeup, like the best, the worst, and I thought it might be for some of these larger categories, easiest just to show you everything that I purchased and rank it from worst to first. All right, so these are every single eyeshadow palette I purchased in 2023. I didn't think there were this many. And the last half of the year, it was coming hard and fast, and I just was like, more. I feel like I did really good at the beginning of the year, and then it just got out of control. All right, so there's 29. I think I counted correctly. Let me double check. Just double check the count. There are 29. Oh, that's a lot. All right, the worst one I tried this year, and I will admit to only trying it twice, is this. Now, this is not a palette you can just go out and buy. This is part of the Estee Lauder 2023 Blockbuster. This is the Celestial Glow. This is the warm option. They do have a cool option with kind of pinks and silvers. I always love the red lips, and so the red lips came with the warm option. I've never liked Estee Lauder eyeshadows. I really feel like, although the color story is nice, the packaging is nice, I feel like this, out of all the things that were in that holiday blockbuster, this is not even just forgettable, it's just bad. Can you make it work? Yeah. Do you have to work really hard? Yeah. And the fact that you can get a $5 eyeshadow quad at the drugstore to perform better than this, okay. So it is part of a gift set, but this was terrible. Beginning of this year, I tried some Victoria Beckham for the first time, and I love the packaging of this, but this eyeshadow palette did not do it for me. This one right here is called the Smoky Eye Brick. This is Silk. I think for me the problem was this shade and this shade were almost identical on the eye. I like this really large one here, and I didn't get as much pigment as I wanted. Now, here's where I tell you I haven't tried this in a long time. It's been months since I've even reached for this, because every time I see it, all I think of is disappointment. I should try it again because she was expensive, and the packaging is just so stellar. I love Victoria Beckham packaging. Like, this is everything I want a luxury purchase to be. I just feel like the fact that we're dealing with all metallic shades in here, all shimmer shades, and on top of that, 2 of the 4 shades are really close to each other. This was not doing it for me. You may love this, that's fine, but this was definitely bottom of the barrel for me. This next one is one that I really wanted to love because I have another colorway in this formula, and I think it's amazing. This is from Kaja. This is their bento box in Night Forest. Okay, so I think for me the problem was one of the shades in here, it's this one right here at the top, was bad. Really bad. And when you only have 3 shades, the matte here has some sparkle in it. I didn't love that. This is a beautiful shade. I like it. This one's great, but it's this guy right here that leaves the largest, chunkiest glitter all over the eye, and then it folds below the eye. It doesn't stay where you put it. On top of that, there's also the issue that these don't actually last very long. I feel like when only 1 out of 3 shadows in a trio, and this is the only one that I really liked, I just, again, when I look at it, I think disappointed, did not perform well. And the other bento box I have in Orange Blossom is beautiful. This didn't do it for me this year. Those first 3 were the truly like disappointing bad. Every time I see them, I go, oh, and I just kind of get sad. Okay, now we're getting into, they were okay, but they didn't like pull me in. They didn't grab me by the lapels and go, you must wear me all the time. And okay, I talked about this recently in a beauty updates. I kind of forgot that I had it. Now, one of the reasons that I don't love this right here is the Mothership Bijou Brilliance Starstruck Splendor. It's all of the little bits of glitter fallout that you see all over the pan. That happens on my face. Now, I do have NYX Glitter Glue. I do have the Pat McGrath Artistry Wand, which is kind of like a mixing medium in pen form that you just swipe on your eye and you tap it in. Does it help? Yeah. Is it like foolproof? No. I wish I was opening this for the blushes because the blushes are really pretty. I feel like the formula of the eyeshadows in here are really dry. Really dry. Not just the mattes, but especially the shimmer shades and the glitter. The glitter gets everywhere. So although I wanted to love this, it's not bad. Get it on sale if you want it. This one I liked and I used a lot. And it is the eyeshadow palette from the Lancome holiday set. I didn't really care for this, not a blush, not a highlight, whatever it was, but the eyeshadows in here were nice. But with 29 new palettes and so many of them coming in the second half of the year, this did not get as much love as I think it deserved. I feel like maybe there could have been a little bit more depth because the only two shades you have is this one and this one. This is like a mid-tone taupey gray shade. This is pretty, but we're getting a lot of, you know, kind of pinky bronzes in through here. We need a little bit more depth. That's my criticism of the palette, but you can get a gorgeous look out of this. I really like this so much more than the Estee Lauder. Did a video earlier this fall with nothing but drugstore makeup. And the one thing I don't have a lot of is drugstore eyeshadow. Mainly because every time I try something, I am disappointed. And what I'm looking for is not good for the drugstore. I want good. I want good products. And the one thing I thought of instantly when I thought of all of the, you know, bad eyeshadow that I had tried over the years from the drugstore, ones that are just good and so affordable are these. These are the bite-sized eyeshadows from e.l.f. This one here is Cream and Sugar. This is the sort of thing that I could easily drop in a bag if I'm getting ready on the go. If I'm going on vacation. She's so tiny. And the metallics in here, I like that we're getting 2 mattes, 2 metallics. These are, look how pretty those are. These are better than the ones from Estee Lauder. Okay, these are great. I've tried 4 out of the, I don't know how many colorways there are. I kept the pumpkin pie and this Cream and Sugar. Some of the other ones I've decluttered because they're just not colors that I reach for, but the formula is good. And it's not just good for the drugstore, it's just a good formula. This next palette, I actually really liked the formula. I liked the textures. I liked everything about it except for the color story. You're gonna go, why did you buy it? I didn't. I bought a Beautylish Lucky Bag at the beginning of this year and this was in there. So it is the Natasha Denona Zendo. Okay, I mean, it's so reflective. Let's just open it up, take a peek. But it's very bright. Now, this shade is gorgeous. This shade is gorgeous. I love these two down here. I've used this shade and all of this center right here. These kind of blues and greens over here on this end, they have not seen any love from me. And other than swatching it, I haven't played with this kind of really bright orangey red shade. And I think it's because the colors are so saturated. Being somebody with fair skin, I have to be really careful what I wear. These are ridiculously pigmented, super saturated shades, and it's just too much for my fair complexion. That's one thing that I have learned. I learned it a long time ago, but lighter shades that are kind of pulled back and they're not too punchy look the best on me. So formula was great. Color story, not for me. Here's one that, okay, I feel bad about this because I know, okay, so me and Pat McGrath, I tried really hard this year. I tried really hard to fall in love with Pat McGrath. And this right here is the Utopian Dreams palette. This came out, I think in 2021. And for 2 years, this was living in my mind, like in the corner of my mind where all the beautiful things that I regretted not purchasing, they're just living there rent free, just like coming up all the time, like Utopian Dreams. And what's weird is I'm not a purple eyeshadow person, but this shade here, that's the first thing I thought of every time when I thought about this. Now, here's where I tell you, I have played with these 6 shades here quite a lot. You take out this peach shade in the middle and those other 5, like they got a lot of use this year. But that's not what makes this type of eyeshadow palette special. It's these baked Astral Blitz shades down here on the end. All right, there is 1 duochrome and 3 baked Astral Blitz shades, and I just never really put them through their paces. It just, okay, here's where I realize it's like knowing yourself. I am not the sort of person who's gonna wanna spend like half an hour to get just the eyes the way I want them. I don't have that type of patience. And these Astral Blitz shades, for someone who is not a makeup artist, I need special glitter glue or the artistry wand from Pat McGrath. I, need time to blend and to place and I don't have time or patience for that. So it's just that I need to know the sort of makeup that I have the patience for. I love the colors in here. I feel like out of all of them, this is the perfect mothership palette for me. I just haven't been reaching into it because I feel like I'm not reaching for those Astral Blitz shades. And maybe I just need to buckle down and figure it out. Like, let's figure out how we use them. Let's get it to less than half an hour, like down to like a 10-minute, for the eyes. I could do that. I could spend 10 minutes on just my eyes. But most days I don't even do that. Like I'm in and out of my makeup vanity, like in 15 minutes or less for the whole face. So spending that much time on the eyes. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? But she's beautiful. The formulas are amazing. The colors are fantastic. I'm wanting to be a different type of makeup user than I am. And I'm still trying to remind myself, although these are beautiful, they're high quality, they're amazing, it's just not the sort of person you are. I really like this. This is one of my monthly favorites. I think it's a beautiful eyeshadow palette, and it's a lot easier for me to navigate than the Mothership palette. This is one of the holiday 5 pans. This is the Bronze Ecstasy from the Bijou Brilliance line. I really like this. I like it a lot. This kind of brownie taupey shade here, love. I also really like this kind of almost wine-toned purple shade. The sparkles, okay. The formula in here, these are a little creamier than the other larger Pat McGrath holiday palette. I just feel like if I'm going to be buying Pat McGrath eyeshadows, I know that first of all, I love a smaller palette. So this hits. I also feel like the textures in here, these are better and easier to blend than the ones in the larger holiday packaging. So I need to know who I am and to get things that are going to work for me. This is great. I think these are beautiful, and I like that they're under that $40 mark for Pat McGrath. So I haven't shown you these, but I did make a purchase from Sigma during Black Friday. So this is down kind of low because I haven't really had a lot of time to play with it. I've worn it a couple of times, but it's this. This is the Hazy eyeshadow palette. I am not much of a person for kind of berries and purples, and this is not really purple. It's more kind of like rosy berry tones in here. I like this. The one thing I noticed is some of these shades are a little dry. I felt like this shade here in Wisteria, although it's really pretty, and this one here in Fanciful, and maybe it's just the Sigma formula that I'm unfamiliar with, they felt kind of dry. They're a little bit more like a topper, but they got a little bit dry, and I started seeing like some of the sparkle fall below. I am still trying to get used to using these shades. I like the mattes in here a lot. I like the pigmentation of those. And this center shade right here is so pretty. It's such a lovely, lovely shade. I feel like there's some really great possibilities here. I just need to dig into it more. So it's not a bad palette. I actually like it a lot. I love that it's 9 pans. I like that you can see straight through to see what color story it is, and that the name is on the front. I don't know why that's a big deal for me because it's like also on the back, but I like that. The other one I picked up from Sigma is the Ambiance palette. This is a really pretty palette, but I'll tell you, when I saw it online, it did not look this warm. I think I mentioned this recently in a video, but I feel like the shades in here are beautiful. I like the ones that lean a little bit more kind of like that bronzy metallic shade. I feel like this one here and this one here are just a hair too warm for what I normally reach for, but I can make it work. But I definitely tone them down with this shade here and with this shade here. I like that we have a really light. I like that we have a deep shade, but none of it's a black, none of it's a white. It's not stark. There's a lot of really pretty metallics in here. I feel like these metallic formulas are also I think it's just a different type of formula that I'm used to because they are super metallic. They're just a little bit drier. And maybe I'm used to more of the pressed pigments from Sydney Grace that have kind of like that creamy buttery feel to them, but these are beautiful. Talk about brand new. This one from Moira Cosmetics, A Moment With You. This one is fantastic. I used it the other day to create a full look. The first time I used it, I was using it with some of the shadow pots from Moira, so I only used the mattes. But when I went in with the metallics in here, These are so pretty. They are just ridiculously spangled, and that's what I like about this. I feel like the textures here are definitely softer. They're not as dry as Sigma, the metallic formulas. They're just as metallic, and they're really easy to pick up and use my finger to blend. I'm lazy. I'm just gonna admit it. I really like this. I wasn't sure I was gonna like it because it had kind of like this almost cranberry tone in here. I like greens like this, and this almost white, but it has a little bit of a blue shift to it. I really liked it. I used it the other day, and it's kind of like a really super cool silver with a slight blue tinge. This is a really interesting palette. It really makes me want to try more from Moira, but this one surprised me how much I liked. Okay, I feel like this one's not fair to put in because I already had these, but they released it as a palette during the Christmas and July sale, and it's the Raspberry Kiss. Now, I love the shades in here. I love the formulas in here. These metallics are what my eyeshadow dreams are made of. Look at that. Oh, they're so pretty. They're so pretty. So when I think of beautiful foiled eyeshadows, this is what I'm thinking about, like this type of formula. I also think the mattes in here are really nice. I like that we have like a kind of warmer brown. We've got some warmth in through here with some very decidedly cooler tones, like this one up here, this one in the middle. This one's really, really fun and easy to use. It's coming mid-pack, mainly because I already have these shades and it's not really new to my collection, although in a way it is new because it was a new release for 2023. I've been a huge Viseart fan for a long time, and when they released new Attendu palettes this fall, I was so delighted. So this is kind of like the sister palette to their Violette palette. This is the Violette Vespertine. I really like this palette, and if you know me at all, you know me and purple eyeshadow, we don't always mix, but I like that we're doing kind of like a dusty kind of lavender. We've got this really deep shade here that is not terribly purple. We have some of these slightly warmer leaning shades, and then you have these metallics in the middle that are just stunning. I think this is a beautiful palette. If you like these kind of purple but cool tones that aren't too saturated, you might really like this. I like this one a lot. This next palette isn't new. It was new last year, but I didn't buy it until I think the spring. And the first couple times I tried it, I was like, no. And then I saw an image of myself. I'm like, oh, I like my eyes. I wonder what I was wearing that day. And I went back to look, and it was this. I really like this. This is the Divine Skies from M Cosmetics in Da Vinci. So this is part of the Masterpiece collection. There are two eyeshadow palettes. One is a lot lighter, a lot less saturated, and not quite as warm. But this is their kind of warm take on a neutral palette. And it definitely has more like deep and saturated tones in here for people with richer skin tones. But I can make this work. I really like this. It's the formula that I like. The metallics are beautiful. The mattes are fantastic. I like that each one of these, the outside packaging is a different color, so I don't have to look at the back and see which one it is. I really like that about that, and I like that it's a limited 6-pan palette. 3 shimmers, 3 mattes, endlessly usable. If you like an easy everyday eye and you love warm neutrals, you would really like Da Vinci. This was the first palette I purchased from Sydney Grace this year. Oh, and she's a stunner. This is the Unbreakable Bond. The Unbreakable Bond comes in 2 variations. This is the light variation. It also comes in a deep. And in the deep shade, there are about 4 or 5 shades that are going to be a little bit deeper in tone. I feel like a shade like this here, where it's really light and it works well for my fair skin tone. Somebody with a richer skin tone is going to do better with, you know, a highlight shade that is not this. So that's what's great about Sydney Grace. They do many of their palettes in 2 variations, and you choose the one that works best for you. But the color story is the same, and I would say about, you know, 75 to 80% of the shadows are the same. They're just changing up some of the lighter shades in the light to be a little bit deeper for the deep. But this is really a beautiful palette. I liked it a lot. I think the metallics in here is what keeps me coming back. And this row right here, this is like everything my heart wants. I love Tiaras, one of my favorites. I have a single of that. But these mattes here, a little bit on the cooler side. These guys feel a little bit neutral. If I want to go warmer, I can reach in through here. This was a really great palette. I think this is one of those that if you like warm tones, if you like cool tones, you're gonna get both of them here and they're fantastic. Here's something that I picked up that I really wasn't planning to get, and somehow it made its way into my cart, and I'm really glad I got it. When it first launched, I was like, no, that's not for me. Those are not my colors. But then I remembered how much I like the formula and how many of these palettes that I have that are just some of my favorites. And it's from Wayne Goss. This is the Amber palette. The reason I didn't really go for this is because of these two shades right here, kind of like this burgundy and this really kind of deep peach shade. Those are not shades that I'm loving right now. I'm really kind of gravitating more towards cool shades or more neutral tones overall. And this is so warm, but this is beautiful. A beautiful palette, super easy. I'm a sucker for, you know, minimal packaging. I like that it's, you know, black, it's very sleek. I also like that there's only 6 pans in here, but that they are herkin huge. Like you could put a face brush in one of these. If you wanted to use one of these shades as bronzer or blush, you could certainly do that, or highlight. I love that about Wayne's packaging. The eyeshadows are just fantastic. Formula's really nice. I really like this one. This was a surprise to me. I continued to reach for it, especially in the spring and the summer. I liked it a lot. Took me forever to try this palette. It's not a new palette. It was new to my collection this year. And oh my goodness, it so surprised me. I love this. This is the Persona Identity palette. And it has these beautiful mixtures of warm and cool shades. It has a really nice split of metallic and mattes in here. And then on top of that, the metallics, now you know I love a super like glistening, glowy metallic, but I like that these are soft and not too much. The older I get, the more concerned I am with textures on my eyelids. Certain formulas will really bring out that texture. I'm doing my best to, you know, keep my eyes hydrated, but you know, aging, it happens to all of us. And the older I get, the more that certain textures of eyeshadows just are not attractive on the lid. What I love about this is the mattes blend super easily, and the metallics in here are perfect for an understated, elegant look that do not add any texture to my eyes. That cannot be said about Pat McGrath shadows sometimes if I'm not careful. Ooh, Pat looks a little chunky on the lid. There are some other formulas that do that too, but I love that this one here is so, so good. Here's a holiday release that surprised me. I knew I was gonna like it. I just didn't know I was gonna like it this much. And it's the Moon Dust from Urban Decay. This is the Space Rider palette. This is the one that has the shade Space Cowboy in it. Space Cowboy is, of course, kind of like an OG formula and a shade. So up until this fall, I'd never tried a Moon Dust eyeshadow. I'd swatched them in store. I'd had them in and out of my virtual cart when I was online shopping, you know, this close to picking up a single when I was at Ulta or Sephora, and I had never done it. I'd never done it. And I thought, what a great way for $39 to get 4 shades, because each of these are 24 individually. Now, I'm a huge proponent of, if you're only gonna use one, spend $24 and get the one you're gonna use and use it all the time. But I love options. I wanna see what else there is out there. So this was perfect for me. I have been reaching for this a lot. This is so easy and so worth it if you love a sparkly eyeshadow. Another one that doesn't create undesired texture on my lids. This one surprised me so much. But I've had so much fun wearing it. I need to wear it when I'm on a filming day again, but I've been wearing this so much on non-filming days. And it's this is the What's Up Beauty Dragon Eye palette. Okay, well, first of all, I mean, take a look. How beautiful is the packaging? And it's actually like raised. It's so pretty. But the inside has the most beautiful multi-chromes. These multi-chromes, oh my goodness. They make me so happy. They make me happy. They blow my mind. Like, this is everything that I want in an indie brand multi-chrome. I find that these are a little bit easier for me to use. I have less problems with fallout with this than I do with Cleona. Cleona are beautiful, but I have to work really hard to wear Cleona. I also have to work really hard to use Give Me Glow. This right here, What's Up? This is fantastic. The mattes also incredible. I did a look the other day with these purples. Oh, it was divine. And I'm not a purple eyeshadow girl, But this palette, I also like how small it is. I like that it's not big. I like the exterior packaging, but beyond that, I like that I'm not dealing with like this massive thing, and you're still getting 12 shades in here. I like how compact it is. I like the quality. I want to try more from What's Up. This surprised me, blew my socks off. This is fun. If you like super shimmery, glittery, transformative shades and nice mattes, you would love this. Now we're getting into my top faves of the year. These are the ones that I used nonstop. Like once I got them, I couldn't put them down. First one is from Sydney Grace. This is Love's Journey. This is the light version of this palette, but this is a, you know, we've got cool tones, we've got warm tones, we have ones right here in the middle that are a little bit more neutral. This is so perfect for the person who loves a kind of a natural eye, but you have beautiful formulas in here. You know what it is. It's the metallics. The metallics are insane. I never want you to think it's just the metallics that are good, because the mattes in here are equally lovely. They are some of the easiest to blend, most beautiful mattes that I own, not just in this palette, but Sydney Grace formulas in general. This is why Sydney Grace is my favorite eyeshadow brand. They make, like, their singles are good, their palettes are good, their color stories are amazing. I feel like this was a fantastic addition to their palette lineup. I feel like they had a lot of colorful palettes, and to have one that is basically just like all nudes, warm, cool, neutral, that's exactly what I feel kind of filled a little hole in their brand. But I love this. I use this so much. Here's another one that really surprised me. I wore it nonstop for much of this summer. It's from Beauty Pie. I love this quad so much. This, I think, is Smoky Rose. So it's not terribly rose. We have a little bit more of a peach leaning shade here, but we have this rose gold, this beautiful matte brown, but the two metallics in here are fantastic. This packaging is very reminiscent of Charlotte Tilbury quad packaging. Formulas are really lovely. I love how compact and how limited it is, and what a beautiful eye look you get out of here. You could do a one and done with the metallic over the lid. You could use two shades, you could use all four. This is fabulous. I really feel like these the deluxe eyeshadow quads are really great from Beauty Pie, but I wish they had more options and more colors, because the formula is good, the packaging is amazing. The price, it's under $20 for one of these, and it definitely feels like a luxury quad. It definitely does, but I feel like they need some more shades. Here is one that I've been wearing nonstop this fall since I've got it. This is the Saturn's Return from M Cosmetics. This is another one of the Divine Skies. I wore this one yesterday. Oh my goodness, I love this so much. It's the split of 3 mattes, 3 metallics. This is such a beautiful, cool lover's dream. The reason that it works really well for me is that it's the only really dark shade and really super saturated shade is this one here, but you can build it up. I love that, you know, we have this shade and this shade. These guys here are so lovely because they're just a little bit, they're not too much. If I were to have gotten the Natasha Denona Xenon palette with the really dark darks and the really light lights, it would have been too much contrast for my fair skin. Cool eyeshadows that are in this vein, that are a little bit more taupey, a little bit more gray leaning, a little bit less punchy overall. They're kind of like a desaturated, or if you will, watered down version of the color. That's what I need for my fair skin, and this, I can't stop reaching for it. I love this formula. Again, love the packaging. I love the limited number of pans. It's amazing. I fell hard for this palette when I got it this fall, and I have not been able to stop. It is Danessa Myricks Groundwork palette. Okay, the more I use it, like especially like these putties, these are the velvet pomades. You can tell, like, I've been in this one, I've been in this one, this one gets abused all the time. This one, it's hard to tell, but I love this too. What's great is that you have 2 different textures. You have a velvet pomade right here, and then right next to it, you have a powder, and they work so well. So I use this all over the face, but I have been loving to create an all matte eye look with this palette. This is really beautiful. I don't know that this palette is for everybody. First of all, like, it's a great size. I like that it folds back. It's like super sturdy. I love the exterior packaging here. I think it's amazing, but I don't know that everybody would need this palette. I think if you like to play with color, if you like to play with texture, if you like the idea of having a wide range of like tones, cool and warm tones, that you would like this. But I feel like if you already have a wide range of mattes in your collection, or maybe textured shadows, this may be superfluous in your collection. But since I'm always out here excited to try new and exciting formulas and new ideas, this really was fantastic, and I've been obsessed with this. All right, talk about obsessed. When this arrived in the beginning of August, I could not stop reaching for it. I love this palette. Another Sydney Grace. This is Heaven on Earth. And there are only 2 shades in here that I don't wear. Want to take a wild stab in the dark? Which 2? It's these 2 blues right here. I do use these 2 dark shades. I love this shade in Supernatural. This bottom row is mostly blue, but it's these murky olivey greens, these shades up here that just delight my heart. I love this so much. I wore this like nonstop. It arrived in early August, all of September. I wore it a lot this fall. I am gonna continue to reach for this, but I love this palette. The formulas are incredible, remarkable, but I really feel like it's the colors in here, these kind of dirty greens, that really pull me in. This is beautiful. This also comes in 2 options, the light and the dark. This is the light option. There is a dark option, but I just really feel like the new shadows from Sydney Grace this year were fantastic. Another one of the Étendue palettes from Viseart. This right here is the Cashmere Charmeuse. This is everything I want in a desaturated, neutral, slightly cool-leaning palette. It has everything I want. Like this shade here is more of like a neutral brown, but we do have some coolness down through here. This is also kind of a cool-leaning matte. We've got some depth, but most of these matte shades and some of the shimmer shades are right in the middle. They're not too punchy, they're not too dark, they're not too light. It's very much a desaturated, slightly rosy leaning cool palette, and I love this. This is so good. I have been having so much fun playing with this. I'm glad I picked it up, and the original Cashmere palette has been a long time fave of mine. I think this might like be right up there now. I was gonna say it might have dethroned. No, I probably still love the original Cashmere palette a little bit more than this, but this Cashmere palette here, this Charmeuse palette, is remarkable. So I'm wearing a combo of 2 palettes today, and here is one of them. And this is one that I'm kicking myself now that I didn't get when it first came out. Okay, so I tried that Natasha Denona Zendo palette earlier this year. I liked the formula, kind of opened me up to the idea of buying more Natasha Denona. But this Glam palette here, okay, a lot of times people think of this as a cool tone palette, and yeah, we've got some cool shades in here. You know, some of these shades are definitely cool, but there's also a lot of warmth, because I feel like the look that I'm wearing today is definitely more warm leaning, and it's mostly from this palette right here. This is incredible. I should have gotten this a long time ago. This is kind of like the easy everyday mattes, shimmers, not too much, just enough. And I know for some people this might be too much of an eye look, but for somebody like me who has a lot of color, a lot of texture, I'm getting texture here with the metallics, but not so much that it's just like chunkity chunk, or that it's, you know, like a multi-chrome or a duochrome. It's very much an elegant, beautiful formula. And this is great for my more mature lids. None of these textures sit funny or weird on the eye. I love the colors in here. The packaging is also just absolutely gorgeous. I picked this up. This is $69 normally. I got it for $56 during Black Friday. I couldn't help myself. This palette was one that I almost didn't get. And when I finally decided to try it out, it surprised me so much. So much. This is one that when I was traveling this summer, this is what I took with me. This is one that when I don't really know what to do, it's the one that I reach for, because it has a lot of really great shades in it. And it's the Blessed palette. It's the collab with Sydney Grace and Mary from Glitzy Fritzy. All right, so again, another palette that comes, do you see how beat up mine is? Mine is so messed up because I use this all the time. I love this. And I can't believe that I almost didn't get it. I was like, well, let me try it. I love Sydney Grace and I like Mary, but I feel like Mary wears a lot more color than I do. Like these colors here, I love the greens, but like these colors here had me going, And then as I was looking at the mattes in here, I'm like, you know what? I feel like I have all of those shades from Sydney Grace. Why would I want to get a palette? I'm so glad I picked it up. First of all, I don't dig into my singles enough and create my own custom palette as frequently as I should. So having a palette where I have cool and warm and rosy tones and greens and pops of color, like this is so easy. You can create a myriad of looks with this palette. This surprised me beyond belief how much I loved this palette. This is one of the best palettes of the year for me. And I'm almost like, I can't believe I almost didn't get it. So good, so good. If you're ever shopping for Sydney Grace and you're wondering, totally worth it. Totally worth it. Number one palette of the year. The other one that I'm wearing on my eyes today, the one that I've been obsessed with and I cannot stop reaching for, and is like the answer to all of my questions. I want to wear a bright lip. What do I wear with it? This one. I want to do a hardly there makeup look. What do I wear with it? This one. I want to wear all mattes, or I want to wear all metallics. Like this palette is just everything my heart wanted this year. This is the I Need a Nude from Natasha Denona. Okay, dude. I almost don't have words. So I'm wearing some of this, especially right here in the inner corner. I have another shade tapped right over the center of the eye. Most of the look came from the Glam palette, but these two together are a match made in heaven. If you are, like me, a boring Betty and you like your nude eyeshadows, but you want some sparkle, you want some texture, you don't want it to make it look like your eyelids have turned into lizard people skin. The textures in here are great. They don't accentuate the texture of my eyelid. They blend well, they wear well. They don't need an eyeshadow primer. I don't have oily eyelids, but these work well with and without a primer, but these are magnificent. I like that we have some warmth. I like that there's some cool in here. The metallic shades, I have been in this shade so much. I can't stop reaching for this. This is such a beautiful, easy, effortless eyeshadow palette. I've heard a lot of people, the criticism is every time I wear this, my looks come out looking the same. Okay, remember, boring Betty. I could see how that'd be a problem if you're used to, you know, going for multi-chromes and color, but I love that I know I have a reliable eye look to lean on, like something like this, but this is very much a me look. And I feel like having a palette that you know you can reach for, that delivers a look that you can hang your hat on. I think that's great. The other thing is, this is so beautiful to use. I like that there is the opportunity, all of Natasha's palettes that are this midi size have the holes in the back so you can press out the pans and rearrange them. They're in there magnetically. I really, really love this palette. This is the palette that, although I tried the Zendo palette earlier this year, I liked the formulas. It was just too much color. It was too saturated. When I got this one in August, I fell head over heels. I fell head over heels. And then when I saw this one on sale for Black Friday, I couldn't stop. So I feel like this was the year that I officially discovered Natasha Denona. I feel like 2023 was a great year for eyeshadow for me, with the exception of those first three that I told you about. These guys that really let me down and made me kind of go, every time I saw them. There was a lot of good stuff here. Some of this stuff was remarkable. And I know I'm definitely in a season of kind of craving cooler eyeshadow tones, and I'm always looking for things that aren't going to make my more mature eyelids look textured. And I feel like there's some really great options here. I would love to know, what did you try this year? Anything new that blew your socks up? Anything new that made you go, ugh? Because sometimes that happens. I want to know what eyeshadow just made your life easier or was just like not worth the time or the money. Let me know in the comment section down below. So as I continue like my 2023 roundup, let me know, what do you want to see next? Do you want to see like cheek products? Do you want to see lip products? Do you want to see base products? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible day, and I will see you again soon.